I would like to take the opportunity to thank you for sharing your evening with us. Tonight's presentation is on identity theft and is scheduled to go for 1 hour. My name is Myra Kasuk, and I am the Financial Education Coordinator here at LAPFCU. The duration of this webinar is scheduled once again to go for 1 hour and is being recorded. All LAPFCU members attending this live version of the webinar will also receive 1 free year of the ID Enforcer Silver Package, which you will learn more about in the presentation. This presentation is interactive and at times may require presentation in the form of you raising your hand when either myself or the other presenter asks a question. For those of you attending a webinar for the first time, allow me to draw your attention to the GoToWebinar toolbar that was launched when you joined the presentation. If you locate your name in the toolbar, you should notice a series of icons. One resembles a hand. If you can please click on the hand icon for me, this is how you will raise your hand if I present a question and ask for you to participate. Okay, great. Simply click the icon again to lower your hand, or if you like, you can wait for me and I can lower your hands for you. In the essence of time, I do ask that all questions be addressed at the end of tonight's webinar, as many of your concerns might be answered within the presentation itself. Because all of your questions are important to us, feel free to jot your questions down during the presentation so that you do not forget to ask it at the end in the event it was not already addressed. Let's go over, just let me ask you a couple of questions, and again, obviously, I don't want you to answer them, but there's something for you to really think about. Have you ever received a check from an item you sold on the internet? So for example, maybe a car, a boat, jewelry. Also ask yourself if you ever received a check in the amount higher than the selling price. Received a check via an overnight delivery service. Maybe a check connected to communicating with someone by email, or even drawn on a business or individual account that is different from the person buying the item or product that you were selling. If you answered yes to any of these questions, you could be involved in fraud or about to be scammed. Fraudsters are smart, just like we all have jobs, whether it's a job where you're out in the field, whether you're a blue collar, white collar, whether you are a stay-at-home mom, dad, whatever the case may be. Fraudsters also have a job as well, and their job is to create fraud. From checks to fake lottery winnings posted from Canada, Australia, El Gordo, even El Mundo. If you received instructions to either wire, send, or ship money to a large U.S. city or another country, and they're asking for you to ship those funds ASAP, anything that sounds too good to be true generally is. And the reason I wanted you to think about that, because in tonight's presentation, you're going to learn a lot about protecting and minimizing the risk of becoming a victim of identity theft, safeguarding yourself against credit and debit card fraud, protecting your privacy as well as your family's privacy, introducing you to Cyber Scout, which is an LAPFCU resource, and learning about identity theft, ID Enforcer credit monitoring, and identity theft protection services. At this time, I am going to introduce you, I would like to introduce you to Molly Good. Molly Good is the Financial Institution Account Director for Cyber Scout and one of your presenters for this evening. Molly, when you're ready, the mic is all yours. Okay. And just to make sure, Molly, that you're not on mute. Your phone may be on mute right now because I don't think we can hear you.
Yeah, it was. Excuse me.
Okay. It's okay.
Myra, thank you. Thank you so much, and welcome everyone. I am the account director for Cyber Scout, and I love it because mostly I love helping people, and educating people on fraud is a wonderful thing. I used to believe I was one of those that fraud couldn't happen to because I was, obeyed everything I was supposed to do. I was always reading and watching out. And when I started working at Cyber Scout, of course, one of our benefits was receiving the monitoring package. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be fine. So lo and behold, I get monitoring, and there was something on my report that wasn't mine, and I was just dumbfounded. But it can happen to anybody, and when you think it can't happen to you, it's going to, because like I said, we could all try to protect, but they're still going to find a way, somehow, some way. So getting forward is, what is identity theft? Basically, identity theft is defined as unauthorized use of personal identification information to obtain goods, money, or services for any unlawful purposes. And matter of fact, mine was somebody opened up a cell phone account with a carrier that I never had even dealt with before. So that was very unlawful. And these are things they do. They may go to a store and purchase things, or they may do cell phone accounts or whatever. And again, it can happen to you. How could your identity theft be used? Well, financial lines of credit opened in a victim's name, criminal use of victim's name in traffic violations or a crime, identity cloning, use of a victim's name and personal information to create a new identity. It's just amazing how they do these things. I'm just floored a lot of times when I see different things that come up. Identity theft hits a new victim every 2 seconds. And some of you who might be in law enforcement probably know this. Total losses were $16 billion in 2016, and I'm sure it's going to be even higher in 2017. 15.4 million consumers experienced fraud, and 1 in 3 data breach victims suffer fraud. People affected by fraud, 42% number of victims discovered their fraud from their financial institution. That's why it's so important that financial institutions offer this sort of service, because we always do go to our financial institutions right away. 1 in 3 data breach victims experienced fraud, and 4.2 billion records were exposed in 2016. That means that you've heard of the breaches from, retail stores and everything, where they've gotten your card numbers and whatnot. And that's how many breaches there were. Although the breaches are actually coming down because a lot of companies have really nailed their systems down, which is very helpful. Data breaches 2009 to 2016 by year, you can see it's gone up every year. It's not getting any better. It's kind of like driving a car with no insurance. If you don't monitor your fraud in your, credit report, you might be behind the 8 ball. So personal identity information comes in a lot of forms. I'm not going to go over each and every one, and some of them you're probably aware of. The big one is Social Security number. If people get your Social Security number, that's the grandest thing for them. Really, because with a social number, they can just about do anything. They have your contact information, government issued identification, birth date, birthplace, online information, verification data, medical records, and account numbers. And once they have these things, they're as good as gold. So basically what I'm saying is almost put them under lock and key. Put them in a safe at home. Front page fraud. Fraud that makes headlines and movie marquees often involved, and I'm sure that a lot of you have seen this movie, Catch Me If You Can. He was really good at doing, taking on different identities and whatnot. Crimes committed in someone else's name, false medical information added to a patient's file, imposters assuming false identity. Those are the things they can do once they have your social number, your birth date, and all those things. Hype versus reality. Financial fraud is more pervasive. 15 years top consumer complaints and a third of all fraud complaints. Amazing. What is financial identity? Excuse me, I'm going to have to move this out. What is financial identity theft? Well, any deceptive financial transaction basically committed to make money, most often are new account fraud or account takeovers. We are seeing more and more of not so much account takeovers, but getting into checking accounts or savings accounts and moving money and things like that. The victims lose money, time, and reputation. They're saddled with fraudulent debt, and they face uphill battles with resolutions. It's very time consuming, and if you don't have help with it, it's just really hard to get through. Sorry about that. What is a financial identity theft? Hackers stole information from the IRS in 2015 and successfully filed fake tax refunds to obtain $50 million in federal funds. It was later determined by the Inspector General reports the system used by the IRS might have been vulnerable to hackers. You know, there's nothing worse than filing your taxes and you're getting a big refund and you're all excited and they go, no, somebody else got your refund. And then it takes you all this time to go back through and get your money back. It's just crazy how these things work. And I always said, if these thieves would use their brain doing the right thing, they could make great money doing that instead of doing all this stuff behind the scenes. Who are the victims? Consumer Sentinel Network, identity theft complaints by victims in age. Okay, so 70 and over was 6%. Now, I would have thought that might be a little bit higher, believe it or not, because of all the phishing that goes on. But 6% and 70 over, and 14% 60 through 69, 20% 50 through 59, and 20% in 40 to 49, and 21% range from 30 to 39, 15 to 20 to 29, and for 1 and under. I was really surprised by this. I really was. But I guess when they do all their financial stuff, they find these things out. But I really did think that it was going to be much higher in the 50 and over. Okay, who are the criminals? Some of you may already know who some of these criminals are, but individual opportunists strike out of need or greed. Insiders such as employees, low-level criminals who break into cars and homes, both get a hold of personal data that they use to sell. So also they get into the mail as well. But anywhere they can glean the information they need. That's what they do. Who are the criminals? In case after case, we've seen how theft by a single company insider who is often working with identity thieves on the outside can rapidly victimize a business and thousands of its customers, motivated by greed, profit, and a complete disregard of their victims. Identity thieves often feed stolen information to larger criminal operations, which then go on to defraud additional businesses and victims. On this particular news station, you'll see a hospital employee privy to confidential patient records allegedly sold financial information for as little as $3 a record. And they had arrested, I guess, 8 people in that ring they had going on. Okay, organized groups such as street gangs have easy access to personal data obtained by normal businesses, average skills to pursue average financial crimes, a clear purpose to hunt for and profit from sensitive stolen data. Gangs are becoming more involved in white-collar crimes, including identity theft, bank fraud, credit card fraud, money laundering, fencing stolen goods, counterfeiting, and mortgage fraud, and are recruiting members who possess those skill sets. Law enforcement officials nationwide indicated that many gangs in their jurisdictions are involved in some type of white-collar crime. Organized groups such as international crime rings have financial resources to support attacks of valuable targets, sophisticated skills to pursue more complex financial crimes, and a clear purpose to hunt for and profit from sensitive stolen data. IRS investigators believe that the identity thieves who stole the personal tax information of more than 100,000 taxpayers from the IRS website are part of a sophisticated criminal operation based in Russia. 2 officials told the Associated Press that, and I totally believe that too, because the Russians were way ahead. I mean, they were hitting everybody before everybody knew what was coming on computer crimes. How criminals get consumer data. Tried and true old school methods. Dumpster diving, mail theft, home and car break-ins. That's exactly what they do. That's why so many places have shred-a-thons and all that kind of stuff. I basically, if I don't have time to shred and I have a bunch of stuff, I soak it in water and I tear it into pieces and then I throw it away. But most of the time I find my way to get it shredded, but I don't know. Something in me says, do I even want to trust a shredding place? I don't know. I just seen so much happen. I'm a little leery of doing anything outside of my control, I should say. How criminals get consumer data continue is new school methods. Phishing. And this is what I was talking about with older age group is they get these phishing calls, and some of them have not got, all their mental wherewithal, and they freely give information, which can cause issues. Data breaches, spyware, and online black market. These are all areas where they can get data as well. How can you protect yourself? Guard your social security number. Lock it in a safe. That's what I say. Monitor accounts and credits. Manage physical documents and stay safe online. I think just about everybody knows the online. You got to have yourself a security on your network to make sure that somebody can't get in. But these are ways you definitely got to get your stuff going on if you haven't already. If you become a victim of identity theft or fraud, take action immediately. To minimize or prevent further damage or loss resulting from these crimes takes action which follows these steps. Document your actions, file a police report, place a fraud alert on your credit report, place a security freeze on your credit report, correct your credit report, notify your creditors that you are a victim of ID theft, and then contact the Federal Trade Commission. Now, these are things that are a pain, and some people don't even know where to begin, and this is where my company helps, because they know exactly where to direct you, what to do, and in most cases, they're actually on the phone with you when you make the police report or you call different places. They'll be on the line with you and help you through every step, which is comforting, because when you've had this done and there's like a lot of stuff, it's scary to go through and do, and you're already upset, and it's just nice to know that you have a place to go, that they know exactly what they're doing, they know how to calm you down, and they get it done quickly. We're 24/7 operation. The only thing that can slow us down is if the companies we need to get to might be closed, if it's like in the evening or something. So LAPSCU provides free identity theft resolution support to all members through CyberScout. Partners since 2005, which I'm very proud of. I love working with them. Everybody's great. You've been a good partner. As a matter of fact, I think even Manny is a great reference for us. There's unlimited access to our professional fraud specialists, and most of our fraud specialists have been with us. I think it's like 8 to 13 years, which says a lot, because they really know exactly what to do, and all of them are passionate about it because they love helping the people. It's kind of like I said in the beginning, it's like a feel-good situation because you get to help people, as I'm sure, most people in the service industry do feel that way, or they wouldn't be there. But it's really nice. It's a nice feeling. It includes proactive assistance in resolving actual identity theft and unauthorized activity for all members. Access to CyberScout website with the latest tips and trends on managing your identity. So we have a knowledge center, which, like, if some of you want to go out and see, it's www.cyberscout.com/knowledge center. There's a lot of really good information out there, and it's always being updated. So we have the latest activities of what the fraud people are doing, and tips and all kinds of great stuff. And I believe it's also on, there's access to it on the LAPSCU website as well. It says call LAPSCU, and it's 877-MY-LAPSCU, to let them know you believe you might be a victim of identity theft. And then a rep will transfer you to our partners, to us at CyberScout. That's called a warm transfer, and that's really just, most people that have a fraud instance are very upset anyway, and I think it's always nice to do a warm transfer, because then you don't have to hang up and redial. You'll be assigned a personal fraud specialist. An investigation will be open, and your personal fraud specialist will place fraud alerts and act swiftly to help lock down your credit so nobody else can get anything. Service is free to all LAPSCU members. Guys, I have to say, this is a nice, wonderful gift they're doing, because if you don't have someone to help you through some of this stuff, it can be torturing. It really can be. And I think it's really cool that they give that to their members. You will be assigned a personal fraud specialist who will work with you to understand the problem, advise you on a plan of action, assist you with working with creditors, credit agencies, etc. And they may assist you, or they may stay on the line with you if you need it. They're there to do anything, and that's the thing. It's called white glove treatment. We believe in that, and we stay with you and help you all the way. We offer tips and advice on protecting yourself from further problems as well. Your ID enforcer. So there's two things here. One is the resolution. And the difference is the resolution is you have it. It's given to you free. So if you do have an event where you have a fraud issue, you can get assistance with it. The monitoring side, your ID enforcer, allows you to be proactive instead of reactive. So if you get the monitoring, you're able to see it ahead of time. Like I was able to see mine, I was able to stop it before they got anything else. I was lucky because maybe it could have been there for a long time, but it wasn't. But if I hadn't seen that credit report, the monitoring, I wouldn't have necessarily known, and they could have hit me for credit cards and everything else, and I may not have known until I already had like 5 or 6 credit cards open, plus that cell phone thing and God knows whatever else they decided to do. But if you have the monitoring, you're notified if your credit report changes. And they'll ask you, if it's yours, then it's no big deal. But if it's not, you're notified, hey, somebody just opened up a self account from Verizon or they opened it up and you haven't paid the bill and now you're in collection. So that hurts your credit report. And it takes a bit to get all that squared away. So if you're monitoring, you can catch it before it gets bad. I think that, along with having your fraud resource help in the event you have a fraud, is the best way to go because you're going to protect yourself from really getting damaged. And when I mean damage, you can go back and take care of it, sure, but you still have to go through all that hassle. That means instead of having just one place to call, or 6 places to call, you just have one. So the ID enforcer is basically a monitoring system. It monitors your credit. It does annual scores. It monitors change of address, Social Security trace, sex offender, special member, and their special member pricing. What is nice is the other thing that's nice that LA PDSU is doing is that they're giving you great pricing, which is really unheard of, and they're offering you 3 bundled packages. One is the silver, the second one is gold, and the next one is platinum, and each package goes up and has more things added to it. And then the cost, as you can see, for the silver is $49.90 a year or $4.99 a month. And that is a single bureau credit report, monitoring and score. And then if you go down to the gold, you'll see that it's triple bureau monitoring and score. And it is $79.90 a year or $7.99 a month. And then if you go to the platinum, you will see it has triple bureau credit monitoring report, court records monitoring, Social Security number monitoring, change of address monitoring, cyber internet surveillance, payday loan monitoring, and sex offender monitoring. It's $99.90 a year or $9.99 a month. And folks, I'll tell you, at $9.99 a month, that's a great deal because you can't go out in the open market and get anything that cheap for that coverage. And it's nice to know because you're going to be covered in all avenues. The credit bureau report is great because it's going to help your credit. But if you got other things opened up, like in court records, or your address is suddenly changed at the post office or something like that, that could be serious. So you can see that I want to just remind you that LAPSCU is also offering free the single bureau package, the silver package, for 1 year, which is really great. So they also are offering a package for the families. If you want families to have it, you can get it single bureau for $44.88 or $374 monthly. Triple bureau credit monitoring $71.91 a year, $5.99 monthly, and then the platinum $89.91 a year or $749 monthly, which is really nice. So the enrollment process is very easy. We try not to make anything hard on our people because we know we don't have time to go through all the stuff, and these are pretty easy steps. You provide the information requested to create an account and click next. So as you can see, you have your username and password they want you to create, your email address, confirming, all the things that you normally do to set up an account. So step 2 is you input contact information, your street address, state, zip code, etc. And then step 3, you input credit card information to process the membership request. So once you get to that point, that's all it is, because you just put in your credit card number and pretty much it sends it through. They do want you to enter personal information, accept terms and conditions, privacy policy, and authorize CyberScout to pull credit information. And step 5 is answer validation questions. This is an extra security step that most people have gone to that are questions that really nobody else can answer but you. I tried on my spouse, he didn't even guess what I put in there. So I think that is always good to have those extra steps. So I just want to kind of end up before I turn this back over to Myra and tell you that in the time that I have been here, the crime, the cost of what they're stealing has gone up higher. We have what we call activity reports that go to our clients. And I look at some of those activity reports and I actually get to see what the losses are to some of these people. And it's just plain sad that, that these criminals get by so much. And I don't see it getting any better. And I just feel that people who don't have monitoring are almost, like I said, driving a car without insurance. It's just sad. It's like we have to protect ourselves so much in this world anymore. It's just, it's just what it's come to. But I highly recommend at these prices that they're giving you guys that it's really kind of a no-brainer to protect yourself and your family. I'm telling you, it's even good to give the gift to family for birthdays or graduates or even like at Christmas time or whatever, because you're often a gift of protection. I had to laugh because my grandfather one year when the thing was he wanted to get all the kids safe stuff, so he bought everyone fire extinguishers. And everybody got a chuckle about it. But I sat there as a little kid, I remember, and I thought, My grandpa loves me so much that he doesn't want me to burn. And it was just a protection thing, you know, but it's those little things like that that people really do appreciate, you know, because it's in those situations you really do need the help. So anyway, I want to thank you so much, you guys, for your time tonight, because I know there's things you could be doing, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. And if you have any questions, you can send them over to Myra, and we'll have time to answer some of those questions. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to her now. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Molly. That was definitely some very helpful information. So I want to talk to everyone about how we at the credit union could also assist in keeping your information secure. We provided EMV cards to our members to improve payment security, to make it difficult for people to successfully commit fraud against your account. EMV stands for EuroPay, MasterCard, and Visa, and it's the little chip located in the upper left-hand side of your card. Every time you use your card at a chip-activated terminal, a unique token, which you may hear some people call that a transaction code, is generated. This process is what prevents stolen data from being fraudulently used, which is a little bit different than traditional cards. So what I want to show you now is the difference between an EMV card versus a traditional card, so you could see the difference of security that chip provides. So if you ask yourself, why does a generated token make your card more secure? Take a look at your screen. A card that does not have an EMV contains information that does not change. So the fact that that information stays the same makes it easy for counterfeiters to replicate the information over and over again. So in the past, you would swipe your card, and again, that information stays the same, so it's easy for them to translate that information on that magnetic strip. An EMV card creates a unique token every time the card is used. That unique token can never be used again, so if they were to replicate the transaction, that token would no longer be valid. So that's one of the ways that that chip assists you with your card. You might go to some places and they ask you, would you like to use the strip, or would you like to insert the chip? And then a couple of places that I've actually have been to will say that the chip doesn't work unless you're using credit card. And so most of the time I just run mine that way in order to give myself that extra sense of security. To use your EMV card, you would simply insert the card, chip in first and facing up. You would keep the card in the terminal throughout the transaction and follow the prompts that display on your screen. You would remove your card only when prompted to do so. So unlike the magnetic strip, the EMV chip takes a little longer to verify the legitimacy and creates a unique token for that transaction. If you were to remove the EMV card from the terminal prior to being prompted to do so, what will happen is the transaction will be denied. So again, I don't know about anyone else that's on the line, but I will wait a little bit longer for that additional peace of mind. It wouldn't bother me to wait a little bit longer for that. And as Molly stated, with so much fraud and identity theft that's going out there, that little bit of time can save you thousands and thousands of dollars. Since all merchants were required to have an EMV terminal by October of 2015, if in-store counterfeit transaction is done in a non-EMV compliant location, so again, like I stated on the previous slide, that some places I go to will have their chip covered, and they'll say that it doesn't work, or you need to use it as a credit card to do so. And I say, yes, I'll go ahead and use it as a credit card, even if it's my ATM debit card. I'll still use it that way because I want to be able to use the chip. But let's say you happen to go to a location that doesn't have one installed. If an in-store counterfeit transaction is done in a non-EMV compliant location, the loss falls back on the payment processor or issuing bank. So it depends on the terms and conditions of that card. But I can tell you now, if it fell back on that store owner, a lot of people are starting to get those in just because they don't want to be held responsible for any losses that take place. In addition to providing our members with an EMV card, we also host free shred day events for our members. We have at least four. We do at least four a year. The next shred event is tentatively scheduled for Saturday, October 7th at our Van Nuys location, and Saturday, October 14th at the Amundsen Recruiting Training Center on Manchester. Now, the event dates, locations, and times are subject to change at any time. So I simply ask that you keep an eye out for additional marketing reminders via the lapfcu.org website. And I'll repeat those dates for you, but as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, so you'll be able to listen to that information again as well. The Shred Day events are tentatively scheduled for Saturday, October 7th at our Van Nuys location and Saturday, October 14th at the Amundsen Recruiting Training Center on Manchester. Before we begin answering questions, let me also remind you that you can contact us at 1-877-695-2732 if you feel you have been a victim of identity theft. An associate here at LAPFCU will transfer you to our partners at CyberScout, who will then assign you to one of their personal fraud specialists. And again, that phone number is 1-877-695-2732. At this time, what I would like to do is open the webinar for questions. To ask a question, you will simply click on the hand icon in the toolbar. And this lets me know that you are in the process of typing a question. And then you will, once you're typing in your question in the question pane, it's right below your name. Once you type in your question, I'll begin looking at the question panel. I'll read your question out loud, leaving out your name. So again, if your hand is up in the window pane, I know that you're in the process of typing in a question so that we can assist you with any concerns that you may have. Okay, so let's see here. First question we have is, a friend of mine told me that people can put a fake device over the ATM to steal your information. Is that possible? Molly, do you want to go ahead and address that?
Well, I know they do it in Circle K's and on gas stations. And then I have also heard that they can do them on some ATMs, but I don't know the difference between which ATMs. I know that I'm always really careful. I only usually go to the bank, or I take extra money out at like the grocery store or something. But I know it is possible. I think it has to do with the ATM systems.
Okay, I'm going to add on to that. Thank you so much, Molly. To add on to Molly's question, when people are, there's a type of fraud, you want to make sure that when you go to the ATMs that you make sure that the devices that are on there are secure. So there are devices that can be placed over the card reader, and if you were to wiggle it, it should not come off. If it comes off, someone is trying to take your information. When you put your card into that reader, it actually can duplicate your information from that magnetic strip that we were just talking about. And that person could then take your information and use it that way. So you definitely want to make sure that the information that's on an ATM, it could be a gas station. Those devices are secure and don't easily fall off. Okay. Molly, we have another question. This person says, a while back, LAPFCU offered us LifeLock. How does CyberScout differ, and which one has more options? Also, which one is more cost effective? I will go ahead and attempt to answer this one, Molly. We did have another service that we had in the past. What I can do for this member is look up some of the differences on that. I don't have the information that's different from LifeLock from then versus now. I'll look into that while we go through some other questions, and if that comes up, let's see. That was our IDT 911, which is now CyberScout. I'm actually looking now, and it looks like we never actually had LifeLock, but you are more than likely thinking of IDT 911. IDT 911 and CyberScout are the same. It's under a new name now, so it's now called CyberScout, but IDT 911 is the same service we had before. And I hope
can I
answers
jump
your
in?
question. Yes.
I just want to jump in and say that the reason why we changed our name from IDT 911 to CyberScout is because we are a global company now, and Europe didn't understand what 911 meant. So we just felt that internationally we needed more of a name that would fit to that climate, and that's why we made the name change. Also, I can tell you that LifeLock sells to like individuals, and we do not. We only work with businesses. So that's one difference between us. And the cost is a lot cheaper through us as well than if you went out to the individual market and bought it like on TV or whatever they offer it. But I think it's considerably higher. I think it's like $29 a month, and I think your best coverage was $9, $9.99 or something. So those are the two things I know. I don't know LifeLock's literature, but I would say that we're probably very comparable on offerings.
Thank you so much, Molly. And if I'm not mistaken, IDT 911 was the credit debt counseling assistant program, and then we added ID Enforcer, and then they changed the names. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, it looks like we have another question. The question is, my MasterCard was used fraudulently at a Sears store. How was my credit card number obtained by this person?
I don't know. They can obtain it in so many ways. Sometimes if you order stuff online, they can get it that way. I don't know. I'm always flabbergasted because I think I know how the people got, my information to open up that cellular phone because I recently had to go through a background check because I moved and I got a new mortgage, and I felt like there was a lot of hands handling my stuff. I wouldn't even email anything. But the other thing that I had happen, I will tell you, is I also used my, not MasterCard, but I think it was American Express or something. I was having dinner with some friends, and we think that the bartender or the waitress or somebody copied it down because they tried ordering stuff on the internet like the next day. But there's just all kinds, unfortunately, all kinds of ways that people can obtain that information.
Yes, and Molly, as you stated earlier in the presentation as well, dumpster diving is a way for people to obtain information. You did mention online as well. Also, please keep in mind small things that we don't even think of, ordering a pizza You know, there's a lot of times we give out our information also over the phone. They'll ask us for our credit card information. They'll ask us for the security code on the back. They'll ask you for your zip code. So there's a bunch of different ways that your information could have been obtained. Also, there's a new thing that's going out now where you could be in a location. Let's say you were in a mall or in a public location, anywhere that's public. And if you happen to use the Wi-Fi that is in the area, the suggestion is never to do any of your account information when you're doing that, because again, you have people that are there and you're on a public line. So if you're using a public Wi-Fi access, your information could be obtained that way as well. Okay. We have another question that just came through. Is there a difference if you swipe or insert your card in a reader? Molly, do you want to take this one, or do you want me to?
I think you kind of covered it with your card and the new little emblem and how that works.
Right.
The newer credit cards, like what Myra explained to you, that they have are, more secure than the old swipe cards are. And I think Myra kind of went through and explained all that. And I think more and more financial institutions are moving towards that. I think all my cards are that way now. My bank cards.
Yeah, and they should have been, all devices should have been changed to that in 2015. But your card can be used two different ways. So as I was stating earlier, if you were to swipe it, even if it has a chip on it, swiping it, you're saying that you want to use that magnetic reader. And remember, that magnetic strip, the information on that strip stays the same. So there is more of a likelihood that the information could be taken by someone because the information stays the same. So when they go to duplicate that information, nothing changes. By putting the chip in, it generates a unique code each time. So if someone were to try to recreate the information that they received using that card, that token would have expired. You won't be able to use that again. So that's what the difference is between swiping it, which would be using the magnetic strip, versus inserting it and using the chip that's located on the card. Okay. And we have time for a couple more questions. Question comes in: if another company, i.e. LifeLock, offers a free monitoring service, is it worth having in addition to CyberScout?
No, because you'd just be paying duplicate for the same services, basically. So, and you'd be paying more through getting it through LifeLock Direct than you would through LAPFCU, because they're offering you such a discounted rate, and you're going to get the same services. They do basically the same thing for business that we do. As far as, them reselling to the members and stuff. So basically you're going to pay less and get the same and better, or I say better service because we give white glove service, but you're going to get paying double for the same thing. Basically, you don't want to do that.
Okay. And there's a second part to that question. Does CyberScout have an identity restoration service? In other words, will they help restore my identity?
Yeah, they will take you through everything you need to do. Like for different, there's two things there on restoring your identity. If your credit gets ruined because somebody's gone in and done everything, they'll restore that. If you have somebody that got let's say your house catches on fire, and this happened to a very dear friend of mine, all their birth certificates, their passports, everything was burned up. They had no ID, none. A matter of fact, they had kind of like an explosion, so they had to run out of the house. So even my friend's purse was burned up, so she didn't even have a driver's license or anything. So in that situation, you're basically rebuilding your identity because you have to get all those things that you have to have to prove or do anything. Like, you know, her even getting her driver's license was a huge thing because she didn't, you know, luckily she had to go in and show them her face so they could see that it was the same person. But yeah, they do help you restore and get, you know, new identification records and whatnot.
Okay. And we have another question. We have about 5 more minutes. If anyone has any questions, again, feel free to start typing your questions in. And if you have a question, please raise your hand. That way I know that you are typing in some information. This question is, how safe is using your fingerprint as identification to unlock your phone and other apps requiring security?
Well, I would say that's a lot safer. A lot safer when it's your fingerprint. It's your fingerprint, and nobody has one like it. So it would be a lot safer to do that. But I don't know the phones, and that's kind of a little bit out of my realm. But I would say anytime you could do that, that's a great thing. Even better than probably putting a long code in. But that's about all I can say about that because I don't know that much about cell phones. But I will say that your fingerprint would be much more secure than putting a code in.
Okay, yeah, and let's see. Question also regarding fingerprint. Can your fingerprint that is stored with these companies be stolen?
That's a good question. Well, a lot of them are online. A lot of them are stored. So I guess it's a possibility. Whenever you have things stored in a computer, it's always a possibility. I'll say that because I always say any computer, any system, and any network is subject to being breached. So I guess it is a possibility, but I'm not, you know, in that realm. I'm not an expert by any means, but I would say that it is possible.
Okay. And if I find any additional information for any of your questions and or concerns that you do not, that you would like some additional information on, I definitely, you can send me an email as well. Respond when you get your survey, and I can definitely find out some additional information on my end. Okay. At this time, I would like to remind you that this webinar has been recorded. In addition to the recording, you will also get a survey, and you will also receive a token for your 1-year subscription to the silver package. 1-year package. It's not a subscription. So 1-year identity theft package that is our silver package with LAPFCU under Cyber Scout. And I will have that to you within the next 2 business days. When you receive the survey, please comment, let us know what your thoughts are about the presentation, anything that you would like to see in the future, questions that you have that you were not able to answer at this time. Again, I want to thank you for sharing your evening with us, and if we were not able to get to your questions, I definitely have kept a log and will answer your questions within our responses in your email. Please have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to seeing your names pop up in future webinars and or workshops. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.